Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today we are doing a special live broadcast, as we tend to do. It really disturbs me that we do this as often as we do, when there has been another terror attack. And that is what we at Resistance Chicks are 100% calling it. It is April 23rd, 2018. And in Toronto, Canada, there has been a van, a renter by Ryder, R-Y-D-E-R, rental van that has plowed, and it's not a van, because then we could ban all vans. A driver of this van has plowed into a crowd of people, killed 9 people, and injured 16.
So I'm going to randomly just try to bring you all the information that is available right now, at this very second.
Which is why we waited a little bit to go live about it.
But the first thing I want to show you is the stand down between the man. You probably can't see it super well. I probably should have Michelle bring this up. There's a man coming out of a van right here. This is the white van.
Where's that at?
It's everywhere.
Okay.
And he comes out of the van, and the police confront him. We're going to play this a couple times
throughout the broadcast, yeah.
If Michelle finds the one with the subtitles under it.
Was that on Twitter?
It's everywhere. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, probably easier. Toronto suspect, white van. I'm sure you can get something. All right. So I'm going to play this particular exchange right here. I'm going to turn it up as loud as I can, because I want you to listen to the sound of his voice. He says, I have a gun in my pocket. I have a gun in my pocket. This is extremely loud because you can't. I don't have it up, but you can't really hear it. I want you to listen to his accent. I'm going to turn this go back here.
Get down! Get down!
I have a gun in my pocket.
This one doesn't have subtitles
now.
either.
Well, you'll just keep finding one. You'll find them. I have a gun in my pocket. That's the way he says it. Now, if that doesn't sound Middle Eastern to you.
Come on, get down! Get down! Get down!
I have gun. It doesn't even sound like it says A, does he? It sounds like he says, I have gun in my pocket.
Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! Get shot! Leave the head!
I think the person in the video camera at this point is like freaking out.
All right, so I'm actually going to pull that up and play it for you guys here on, so you can actually listen to it maybe a little bit better, and at least see it a little bit better with the subtitles that go along with it.
Come on, get down! No, get down! Get down! I'm getting my pocket. Get down! I'm getting my pocket. Get down! Get down, you shot! Leave the head!
Rewind it a little.
Right.
One more time.
Come on, get down! No, get down! Get down! I'm getting my pocket. Get down! I'm getting my pocket. Get down!
Hook it.
Get down,
Hook
you
it.
shot! Leave the head!
Shoot me in the head.
Surprised they didn't shoot him.
Right. And so they have identified, supposedly, the man.
Which they do that sometimes
to throw us off.
erroneously.
Right. So I'm not 100% convinced that this is the guy. Is Alik Minasan. I'm frozen here, it looks like.
Mini-Asan,
Mini-Asan.
Sion. Like, it looks like Nissan. You know.
Right. So people are thinking that he's non-Muslim because they're saying that this particular name is Armenian. I don't know the differences, honestly. I know I've heard of the Armenians who lived in Turkey and who were Christians and they were genocided, but that doesn't mean that...
Pat Hacker. I really enjoy Pat as a viewer, but Pat says, does the race really matter? He just plowed through a crowd of people. It matters.
It matters if he's Middle Eastern, because here's the thing. We aren't politically correct.
I'm done with all this
So if we're trying to decide and decipher whether this is a terrorist attack,
right,
then we are going to say that 100% of the time, when a Middle Eastern person has killed multiple people, it 100% of the time has been a terror attack.
Right.
So we're trying to decipher and to definitively say, without it being fake news, that it's a terror attack. Because if it's a terror attack, unlike yesterday's
Waffle House
shooting, which was some mentally deranged person, we don't know his motive, right? If it's a terror attack, then we know the motive. If we know the motive, then you can possibly go to try to curb these attacks. We don't want to see them happening over and over and over again. There's such a thing as an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is pre-planned, obviously, premeditated murder. Okay? Our job as a society is to raise up people that aren't going to become mass murderers.
Mm.
And the best way to do that is y'all need Jesus. I got my y'all need Jesus t-shirt on. And the religion that shall not be named breeds an ideology that does this. Now,
hang on, before you move forward, because of Pat's comment, and I was sitting there, and after this happened, and this doesn't usually happen to me, because I think that when you get angry, God is not in control.
right?
However, I am angry. I'm so sick and tired. It's not yes, I'm sick and tired of the attacks. But unfortunately, I've got a lot of people that will come on and say, I can't believe you're already politicizing this. Well, I'm sorry. The person that is doing these attacks, the people that are doing these attacks are politicizing this. And what makes me so angry is the reason why these attacks continue to happen is because of the politically correct excusing away of this religion that shall not be named. You can't talk about it. You're censored on Facebook. You're censored on YouTube. You're censored in your countries. You can go to jail in Sweden. You can go to jail in Canada if you say anything against this religion that shall not be named. And I said this, I don't know if I sent it to Chris Holman or whoever it was that I was chatting with earlier. Losing my train of thought here because I'm so upset. But you literally can't say anything against these people, or you're some sort of crazed lunatic, you're judgmental. These are facts. We have to be able to clearly identify this is what is happening. This is wrong. Now we can stop it.
If the NRA...
And I'm getting sick and tired of being censored away from
if the NRA had in its teachings that you should kill a certain kind of people.
Right.
And taught people in its handbooks that there are certain people out there that you should kill, innocent people, then we would be calling out the NRA.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. If these were Christians, I'm being dead serious here. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If Christians were the ones that were continually plowing into people, I don't care if they're Mormons or Jesuits or any other kind of sect of Christianity, okay? I'm gonna start calling out all Christians. Christians, we need to get our act together. We need to get our house in order. This ought not be happening amongst our people, okay? I would be calling it out every single day of the week if it was Christianity. So I should
Here's the thing.
be able to call it out. No.
Wait,
I know what you're going to say, though. You're going to say that Christianity doesn't teach that you do these things.
That's not what I was going to say at all. We actually do that. We call out the Catholic Church.
Yes.
When they persecuted Christians.
Right.
Under Catholic teaching.
Right.
We call out the fact that they burned Christians at the stake.
Yes.
Okay? Whenever there is anyone who does anything according to an ideology and a teaching, we are going to call out that ideology and teaching. The reason Martin Luther started the Reformation was because idiots, evil people, rewrote some of the things in the Bible and made things up.
Right.
And punished people, condemned people to heresy, put them in prison.
Right.
Things like that. So
I don't like to get upset, and I'm really sorry that I am in one of those upset moods, but I'm just really, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back for me on this. I know we don't know who this person is yet, but we do know that he is not of Canadian nationality.
I got a gun in my pocket, Hey,
I got a gun in my pocket.
Canadians are like the most polite people in the world. They don't run people over, okay? That's why Canada is one of the safest places.
So yeah, I'm angry. I am upset.
All right, let's get to some of these facts.
All right, let's get to the facts.
Toronto
getting more angry.
police here.
At this time, what is known to us is we have located that vehicle. The driver's in custody right now, and he's been investigated to the events that took place this afternoon. I also want to offer my condolences to the families and the victims of this tragic event that took place. We can confirm for you tonight, right now, we have 9 people that are dead, 16 that are injured. Toronto Police Service has mobilized all available resources, and I can assure the public all our available resources have been brought in to address this tragic situation and to investigate this situation. And I also want to assure the public, the rest of the city, are adequately policed by our other resources.
When you see a random attack,
Waffle House was kind of random.
Well, yeah. Well, when you see a random attack, you do want to go to, okay, so did this person know these people? Sutherland Springs seemed
Nicholas
like a random
Cruz.
attack. Well, no.
Oh,
Sutherland
Springs
seemed
the
like a
church.
random attack. But that shooter knew the people in the church. They were relatives.
His ex-mother-in-law.
Ex-mother-in-law. He had a beef to pick with these Christians.
Right.
Right? And so we look at the motive behind it. All right. I also want to put this out. France.
Right.
Right. Vehicle, Toronto vehicle, Barcelona, just a year ago, April, Barcelona, another van attack, Stockholm, a van, Manhattan, a vehicle, London Bridge, a vehicle, Berlin Christmas Market, a van, a truck, and London, a vehicle, all right? So a lot of people are saying, right now we have a huge debate where somebody goes into Waffle House
with an AR-15.
We want to ban all AR-15s at that point.
Right.
But nobody's thinking about banning vans?
I am.
Or trucks?
I am. I'm kidding. But seriously.
Because
I mean, seriously.
300 people a year are killed with rifles.
That's not just AR-15
They don't break
rifles.
those down with AR-15s.
Right.
So now at this point, the numbers might actually be about the same. AR-15 deaths versus van deaths. So if ban AR-15s, you have to ban vans and trucks.
Right. And the argument from the left would be, well, everyone has a right to get from point A to point B. Everyone has to use a car. Not everyone has to use a gun. But everyone has a right. And I'm hoping that...
here's some images they're going to play in the back.
That one of our viewers, Eric, is not going to get upset for me telling this story, but he messaged me and said that last night some crooks broke into his vehicle, stole his mountain bike. He caught them at a neighbor's house breaking into their van. So he goes inside, gets his 9mm, chases them down in his truck into the desert, and his weapon has a flashlight on it and holds them at bay, right? Until the police officers can get there. And the cops called him ahead of time and said, all right, we're coming. We're going to be there. You can put your weapon away and you can head home. But he did say that, and he seems like a pretty mild-mannered kind of guy. And his wife knew that he was going after these fellas that he said, like I said, seemed like drug addicts. But he said said to me, and he yelled at them before the cops got there, and don't ever come to my house again because I'll put one in you. And he said that at the top of his lungs, which I'm really proud of him. So that goes to my point. Not everybody needs a gun. Not everybody needs a weapon. Everybody on the planet has a right to protect themselves, their family, and their property by any means necessary. And if that includes guns, which in today's day and age,
John Locke said
it
it's
does
actually
guns.
you put your life in forfeit when you steal something from someone. Your life is forfeit.
Right.
That's what John Locke said.
Yes, absolutely.
So when somebody's already committed an act of thievery, they're putting their life already in your hands. It already belongs to you.
Yes. Could not agree more.
All right.
He hit every single person on the sidewalk. Anybody in his way he would hit. I just stopped and I looked and I went after it again. All I see is just crumbling up one by one, one by one. Holy God, I've never seen a scene like this in my life, I swear.
So many people just shouting, stop the car, but he didn't. He just keep moving.
There was 4 bodies on the ground. Police and the ambulance hadn't arrived yet, but people were trying to revive them.
I'm just going to go through some of the different things that
that's great.
I know about this. Now, this is Toronto, multicultural city. And the mayor wants you to rest assured that they're still an inclusive and accepting city, because right now that is the most important thing.
I also want to say that this is a time when this community should come together. These are not the kinds of things that we expect to happen in this city. We hope they don't happen anywhere in the world, but we especially don't expect them to happen in Toronto. But things are as they are, and beyond supporting our first responders as they continue to do their work, and you'll hear more about the task that lies in front of them investigating this terrible tragedy. I hope that we will, as a city, remind ourselves of the fact that we are admired around the world for being inclusive and for being accepting and understanding and considerate, and that we are united in standing in solidarity, especially with those who have fallen victim to this terrible tragedy today.
We are united for inclusive.
I'm sorry, Mayor John Tory. I tend to disagree when you said this is not the kind of thing that we expect to happen. This is exactly the kind of thing that we expect to happen when you guys in Canada have an open door policy and have this mamsy-pamsy, patsy, we all love all of everyone regardless of whether they are terrorists or not. This is exactly the kind of thing that we expect to see happen in your cities. You're delusional and lying.
Wow, she's upset now. This is a reminder that this man, this is not the van attack, but a mentally ill man, still a terrorist, Crown argues. When this guy, Hassan Ali, burst into a Canadian Armed Forces recruiting arms center armed with a large kitchen knife, slashing at 3 soldiers before he was finally subdued 2 years ago. He wasn't just mentally ill. He was also radicalized, argue federal prosecutors in a newly filed brief. This was from a year ago. And a lone wolf terrorist is still a terrorist, and so they're urging the court not to acquit him on the terror charges. He acted as a terrorist group of one. And this was actually published April 17th, 2018. And this was happened 2 years ago. So there are people being radicalized. There was the guy with the ISIS flag in the car, truck, van incident recently in Canada. So we have to be able to look at these things and say, people coming from these war-torn countries that are predominantly Muslim,
it's nothing for them to do these kinds of things. It's not as shocking. Do you understand? And that's why it's more prevalent with them, because they are desensitized to these kinds of actions where most of us, maybe we may get angry at a political issue, or we may get angry about this, that, or the other, and we would, just kind of jokingly be like, oh, wish I could, whatever. They don't have those same...
There's 100 verses, I believe, around that in the Quran itself that talk about violence against the unbeliever.
Right.
So if they're actually reading that, the Quran.
Or listening to people that are preaching it. I think some of these people don't actually read it for themselves.
So here's an eyewitness that describes the attacker as Middle Eastern.
A few bodies here on the sidewalk. With me right now is Adrian. Adrian just got out of the subway. And what did you see when you got out of the subway?
When I got out of the subway, I was turning around the corner and I saw the white van turn around the corner and the cops apprehended the suspect. And I think it was a white van. It said Ryder on the side, a rental van.
What did the suspect look like?
Can't really describe him. The cops had everything blocked off, but I think he was a darker color, like I would say Middle Eastern.
Okay. Do you know age? What did he look like?
No, I don't actually. Like I said, the cops blocked off pretty fast. There was about 20 cop cars, so they wanted to block everything off so no one could see. It sounded like he did shout something out to the police, and he tried to pull something out of his pocket, like he was trying to commit suicide or something.
And we saw that one, and we'll keep playing that. He says, "I have a gun. I have a gun." So
I can actually play that again for anybody that's
go
just
ahead,
now
play it
joining
again.
us.
And I'm going back and forth to some of the stations that aren't playing this. Well,
you're getting it double. You're getting it from Leah and you're getting it from me.
I'm also playing. This is a live news broadcast.
Okay, great.
So I'm waiting. They go back and forth from news to covering this.
It's really interesting to me that I had trouble finding a lot of stuff on this, and I think, and this is my suspicion, and again, if you're just joining our channel, I don't think that we have too many people that are not Mass Faith 3 Resistance Chicks viewers anyway, but if you are just joining our channel and you don't understand, I'm fed up, and we're not politically correct, and I'm going to call it out. Like, I tried to be nice and try to tiptoe around it the first, 10 times we've had to go live and cover these things, but I can't anymore. I'm just done. Filter's gone.
Sorry, they're making their money in Canada here with their ads. All right.
A van coming this way on the opposite side of the street, and he on purpose hit this guy here. He hit him right by the sign, but you can see where that body is. So he hit him pretty hard.
He hit him pretty hard. Well,
everyone was just screaming.
They're dead.
I ran because everyone was running, so I only saw the first lady get hit. I don't know. I have nothing. I think I'm in shock.
That's probably pretty accurate.
That is definitely, I totally understand that.
Witnessing an accident alone is very shocking.
Right.
But witnessing a murder, which is what this was, it's a murder.
Sky News has been covering it on and off, but they've also been covering the baby born today
in the UK.
To the
Princess Kate
and Prince William. I get them mixed up. I'm sorry. I can't remember them all. So they've been covering that. But they've also been covering this. So 9 dead, 16 injured. I'll play a witness here.
Story again. Let's give you an update if you just joined us, tell you what we're talking about. At least 8 people have reportedly been injured after a van hit people earlier on today on a sidewalk in Toronto. Canadian police said the driver is now in custody. Are you seeing this video here? It's the first time I've kind of seen it. It's police cars driving around, etc. Obviously, some on the mobile phone there. Anyway, they say that they haven't, the police, immediately been able to identify the guy they've taken into custody or sort out a motive for it. It's believed the driver was armed and rented the van from a local rental company.
For sure.
Authorities have told people to stay well away from that area. Obviously, some subway services in the city have been suspended too. Will police try and get a handle whether this is all over yet?
Here's the thing. I am torn between shooting somebody because you want to shoot them, you want them dead, right?
Right, and getting information.
But you've got to get them into custody because you've got to know. People need to know, and that's the hard part.
But will we get any answers if he is?
You'll get something.
The religion that shall not be named.
Security has, of course, been stepped up in Toronto.
It will usually be hidden, like the Texas military shooting. I always get it mixed up. That guy was Muslim. They didn't talk about that for a while.
It'll come out like a week later.
The nightclub shooting, Orlando nightclub shooting, that came out later. Nobody wanted to talk about it right away. Everybody knew it.
So
Natasha, she says, my Canadian country is turning into Islam.
G7 summit, as we're saying. So a lot of eyes on security there in that city. But bad news coming through from Toronto there. As soon as we get a handle on whether there have actually been fatalities or not, our correspondent thought they could have been, but very much unconfirmed.
There have been. This is an old video. There have been 9.
Well, some of the witnesses at that scene claim that they saw the van driving along that sidewalk.
The man was walking through the intersection at Young.
Ban sidewalks.
Yeah.
They're pretty dangerous.
Excellent idea. Ban all walking out in the streets.
In Kempford. He was just walking, he was in the middle of the intersection, and the van just went right into him, plowed right into him. And then apparently he drove down further, and he went onto the sidewalk by the next building, and he hit more people there and just kept going.
I've seen a white van with red coloring on it, and all I saw after
that was not a fake.
The car.
I mean, that's a real, legitimate testimony there.
Yeah.
I had read reports that there were elderly that were hit. A woman was pushing a stroller, was hit.
Now this is the closest we're gonna get. I keep trying to pause it.
I have this picture roughly on the thumbnail.
So he's got his head it's a weird head shape, right?
It's like the sides look like they're still there.
It does look like he's got a beard, right?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it doesn't.
no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
But still, it's a very
It's an odd
haircut,
like a monk thing going on. I don't understand what kind of do he's got going on there. But we're just trying to break this down into what it is, what it isn't. But we've seen this happen before.
Over and over and over again.
Exactly. So I'm going to see if there's any more updates. We're just trying to give you everything that's happening. So this is the picture that people are... I don't know if this is the guy. It could be the guy. He would have had to shave his head, which doesn't seem, but maybe
They're
it
saying
is.
He might be Armenian. Is that right?
Armenian. They're saying that the name Alik Minassian is Armenian. According to local police, the Toronto suspect has been identified as Alik Minassian, age 25. They claim that he is not known to them. However, earlier reports said that he was known to them.
You know what? Whenever these things happen, they always come out and say they didn't know. And then, like Leah said, 2 weeks later, or not even that long, just when it's died down, sometimes it only takes like 3 or 4 days. Once it's died down, then like out in these kind of like back corner reports, you find out that this suspect was completely known to the authorities, or you find out that their family members called the authorities. You find all of these things out after the fact, after it's been blasted all over the media as some sort of shocking thing that never should have happened. And of course, don't blame the, the actual religion, possibly.
So according to NBC, quoting multiple law enforcement officials in Canada and the U.S., the preliminary theory is that Minassian may have had mental health issues and had an online discussion about Elliot Rodgers, who went on a rampage in UC Santa Barbara. And so that's from a blue check mark guy on Twitter. I don't know for sure, obviously. As of now, the suspect's motive remains uncertain. Meanwhile, the site Intel Group's Rita Kotz points out, as of now, ISIS channels are not promoting the Toronto vehicular attack, which contains staples of ISIS-inspired events. Though he wasn't killed, ISIS may still issue a statement if news of links and allegiance arises, like in the case of the Manhattan attacker, Saifullah Saipov. We talked about that. According to the police update, 9 people have been killed, 16 injured. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything else.
So I've got this Elliot Rodgers deal pulled up here. Let's just take a look at it because I'm not really familiar with it. It says in 2014, he was 22. He killed 6 people. He injured 14 others near the campus of the University of California, Santa Barbara, before killing himself inside of his vehicle. He stabbed 3 men to death in his apartment, and then he drove to a sorority house and he shot 3 female students, killing 2. He drove to a deli, shot a male student to death who was inside. He began to speed through Isla Vista, shooting and wounding several pedestrians and striking several others with his car. He exchanged gunfire with the police. He received a non-fatal gunshot to the hip. The rampage ended when his car crashed into a parked vehicle and came to a stop. The police then found him dead with a self-inflicting wounds. It says that he uploaded a YouTube video titled Elliot Rodgers Retribution, in which he outlined details of his upcoming attack and his motives. He explained that he wanted to punish women for rejecting him and that he envied sexually active men, so he wanted to punish them for their sexual activity. So hang on a second. Again, I don't know much about this this attack at all, just because of what you read here. But are they trying to say that maybe this guy was sexually frustrated and he decided to rampage through a crowd of people? Because, I mean, making that comparison, going and looking this up on Wikipedia, of all places, you know, kind of makes like a little bit of sense. If they're trying to say that his motive, because any copycat could be a copycat. Why aren't they saying maybe he's copycatting any of these other, you know, why go with this guy whose motivation they're telling us on Wikipedia is because he was sexually frustrated? Right. Seriously? Seriously? I mean, you guys, that is so absurd. That I'm calling that one right now. I'm calling that bluff. Nope, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for a second.
She's not buying it. She's not buying it. So, looks like where I was watching live before, they're done going live, which is kind of sad because they were doing a good job. And it looks like Sky News is done going live. I love to bring you guys live coverage, see what everybody else is saying. But I'm not getting anything.
Well, I think that this silence is really loud. I think that the silence says a lot. You guys need to understand that even Fox News, all of the mainstream media outlets, the Associated Press is what I like to just kind of lump it all. The Associated Press is the one that leaks out all this stuff. That's where they get their talking points from. So if the Associated Press has been given a gag order because what they would be putting out would be harmful to the leftist agenda of apologetics for the religion that shall not be named, you have to keep it quiet, keep it hidden, keep it hush-hush, then that's exactly what they're going to do, and that's why you will not find any information out there.
It's interesting because it just happened earlier today. We had solid coverage, I think, for about 2 hours, maybe 3, and then it's over. It's like it never happened. Like, okay, we're done. I'm sorry people died in Canada, but we really, as the world, don't even care. Nope. We don't even care. Can we talk about, and it's even weird because like Fox News, like, can we talk about Kanye West and Candace Owens? And that's, that's an important subject. But
not when this happens. This is one of those things that should be covered for the rest of the evening.
They will cover, how long did they cover Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels 24/7?
Well, they covered the Parkland shooting for days and days and days. And nobody's going to be out there marching against the religion that shall not be named, or against vans, or renting trucks or renting vans. They said they could start there. No one is ever allowed to rent another van. It's because a lot of times these are rentals.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it just goes to show their agenda.
When you own a business, you make a lot of small changes.
Sorry.
All those little things you do to make your business better.
I know. I had it on, but it didn't give me a place to turn it off. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
You will notice that when something is a false flag, and when we say that, we mean it really did happen, but they knew about it ahead of time and allowed it and kind of helped it happen. When we look at those kinds of things, we see that the media stays on it hard.
Right.
And we're not seeing that right now, obviously, play out.
And I remember that at one point the mayor made reference to how inclusive a city Toronto is, and Arthi Pohl, who's sitting here in the studio with me, both she and I kind of looked at each other at that point, because you wonder if that's not a coded reference to say, look, no matter what this investigation uncovers, it's important in a city that people understand this is a city that is renowned for, proud of having so many people from so many parts of the world and so many cultures here in a city, living, as you hear people say all the time who visit Toronto, live in a peaceful, orderly city. But it certainly wasn't peaceful and orderly at around 1:30 this afternoon Eastern time, when this van plowed into pedestrians. We now know 9 people killed, 16 others injured.
How come we didn't hear that about the Waffle House guy? We're in his city.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know that even if it comes out that he ever stepped foot in a church, that we're an inclusive city and that we aren't bigoted against Christians and that Christianity is a religion of peace and that if this person did happen to call himself a Christian, that it has nothing to do with Christianity.
Well, and why wouldn't they say that? Why wouldn't they even say that about the Waffle House guy being a Muslim? You don't know what religion the guy could be, even if it comes out that he's a Hindu, even if it comes out no matter what he is, we're going to accept him regardless of his religion. No. You're not accept him, but accept everyone in that religion.
And actually, the better example would be to say, listen, we are a country that believes in our Second Amendment. No matter whatever comes out about this shooter.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
I want everyone to know that we are a country that believes in our Second Amendment and we believe in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence. And while it's sad that somebody did use the weapon wrongfully.
Like they would be using their religion wrongfully.
We still believe in our Second Amendment. How come they don't say that on the news?
Why is it that you can ban all weapons because a few people that want weapons that, will use them for harm, and yet you can't ban an entire religion because a few people, and it's more than a few, by the way, choose to use that religion to commit harm.
Right. So he does have this Middle Eastern accent, has an Armenian name, and the whole of Twitter wants to make sure that we don't offend Muslims. So,
well, they're gonna get offended here.
Yeah, they will. And so
did you want to cover the Waffle House thing while we're here? I mean, we didn't talk about that.
Well, I will a little bit, but yeah, I want to cover this because this kind of goes along with the same theme. We're not allowed to say anything against the religion that shall not be named, but every time there's an AR-15, it's to blame.
Yeah, exactly.
And we tell you guys to follow Kyle Kashoff. He's the pro Second Amendment student
from Parkland. Or Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, as we don't ever refer to it because that's a mouthful.
On Friday, he went to a gun range last Friday to learn how to fire a gun for the first time with his father. And he tweeted this. It was great learning about our inalienable rights of the Second Amendment. How to properly use a gun. This was my first time ever touching a gun, and it made me appreciate the Constitution even more. My instructor was very informative. I learned a lot. Second Amendment is important, and we need to preserve the Second Amendment. So he tweets this out, and he tweets out his pictures, and then he tweets out a picture of him shooting the gun. Okay, so he is at a gun range. He's with his dad, and he's with an instructor. Okay? He says, facts matter. I wish the facts of guns were more known. We need to educate the public and show them why we need the Second Amendment. Okay?
All you, bro. 1 second. Yep. Yep. Wait, put on safe.
And then a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall never be infringed. According to Kyle, he said, my dad was there and I shot with an AR-15 after I posted a few pictures and videos. Now, here's where it gets crazy.
Let's get crazy.
Kashoff was quickly called out for visiting a gun range and posting about it by a variety of other students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, but that wasn't the end of the story. When Kyle went to school today, his principal informed him that other students had been upset by his post, but that he hadn't done anything wrong. But according to Kyle, in the middle of the morning, events took a different turn. Near the end of the third period, my teacher got a call from the office saying, I need to go down to see Mr. Greenleaf. I don't know Mr. Greenleaf, but it turned out that he was an armed school resource officer. I went down and found him, and he escorted me to his office. Then a second security officer walked in and sat behind me. Both began questioning me intensely. First, they began berating my tweet, although neither of them had read it. Then they began aggressively asking questions about who I went to the range with, whose guns we used, and about my father. They were incredibly condescending and rude. Then a third officer from the Broward County Sheriff's Office walked in and began to asking me the same questions again. At that point, I asked whether I could record the interview. They said no. I asked if I'd done anything wrong. Again, they answered no. I asked why I was there. One said, "Don't get snappy with me. Do you not remember what happened here a few months ago?" They continued to question me aggressively, though they could cite nothing I had done wrong. They kept calling me the pro-Second Amendment kid. I was shocked and honestly scared. It definitely felt like they were attempting to intimidate me. I was treated like a criminal for no reason other than having gone to a gun range and posted on social media about it.
So now, all right, I like to talk to y'all people about the Bible for a second. Lots of Christians like to take one scripture out of context, and sometimes it can mean something entirely different. So we have a student like Nicholas Cruz posting pictures of him holding guns and things like that. And we've seen that historically from other people that have committed such atrocities. Yep. We see them with, what I'm trying to get at is we might see a post of a gun-loving whatever, person that's going to commit these atrocities. And you could go back later and say, we knew that he was going to shoot up the school, or we knew that they were going to do whatever because they posted all of this stuff about guns, and that should have been a dead giveaway. In context, everyone knows who this child is, Kyle, why he is coming out so hard pro-Second Amendment. They know exactly what is going on. They know exactly his intent, and yet they are trying to treat him as if he is going to commit another atrocity just like Nicholas Cruz. They are taking this post completely out of context. And why? Because they are trying to intimidate him and they are trying to shut him up. They are perfectly fine with David Hogg politicizing this thing and plastering his little skinny boy face all over the internet, all over the mainstream media. But when Kyle goes out to give valid arguments and reasons for why we need a Second Amendment, well, that's not okay. It's all well and good when David Hogg does it. It's not okay when Kyle Keshoff does it, because he actually might have a sound-minded argument that could change people's minds, and they could see, wow, there are intelligent children that go to that school.
So my point is that when there's a gun attack, when there's a gun, somebody shoots somebody with a gun, it's automatically take all the guns.
Right.
But then those same people, when there's a van attack, it's don't blame anybody. Don't blame anybody. It was an accident. It was an accident. It was nobody's fault. Nobody did this. It was just
it's not the van's fault.
It's not a van's fault. It's not
the van's
fault. It's not
fault.
It could be nobody's fault as long as it's. But it would be somebody's fault if he was a white Christian male. I would get that. I would totally hammer that. But if it's not a white Christian male, then it's nobody's fault.
Right.
It's nobody's fault. Nobody's fault. So, you guys were going live. I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
Eric says on his wife Terry's account, which Eric, I had mentioned earlier, your brave, harrowing act of last night. I say we all need to go to the gun range and take pictures and videos of how great of a time we had with our siblings and post them all over social media.
Yeah. You guys, a gun is no more dangerous than a car. And you get in a car every single day.
You know what? Actually, I would
say a car is more dangerous.
Exactly. A car is far more dangerous. The deaths...
2 million people are injured a year in a car.
But it's totally fine to drive your car because you have to have it for society to run.
330 million guns in our country. And only, unfortunately...
Hilton 11,000 says, and that van might have been an automatic...
Not even a semi-automatic.
I know.
Ban all automatic cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going to have to go back to learn how to drive stick shift. It's more fun anyway.
That's a semi-automatic. All right, so let me see here. We're supposed to be getting from the Toronto Police Chief are expected to address the media soon. So let's see.
Maybe you could, if we're waiting on that, maybe you could do the Waffle House thing, because I know there are going to be viewers that we have that don't know what happened at the Waffle House.
Well, a young man walked into a Waffle House
Naked.
Completely naked except for a green jacket.
Naked.
Takes off the green jacket. Starts shooting people.
We ought to ban nakedness.
And then, I got to bring up this guy, this black dude, right? Takes the guy out. Down. There's a hero in this story.
Gets shot in the hand because he's wrestling this AR-15 from this naked guy. And you know what? Just wrestling a naked guy.
I thought the same thing.
You get props for that too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Big props.
So, this guy was known to police. He was actually caught at the White House.
Waffle House?
White House.
At the White House.
Before, in another time.
I did not catch that part.
Yes. His guns were taken away.
Rifles, in some cases, it's going to be magazine-fed weapon.
I can't
It's
even.
going to be semi-automatic or full automatic in some states.
It's
the
on
one
this
you have
one.
up. Is that it? Let's keep going down. It's got to be somewhere down there. It's one of those videos. Just pause them all.
They're all playing.
Then pause them all. There you go.
I'm trying.
There's one more going. Oh, there's still one more going. It's got to be further down. They do this on purpose. Is there another one going?
Dude, we're not doing this article. It's too awful. We're just done.
I don't think that. I try not to visit any of these websites that just play automatically. It's rude.
It is rude. It is rude. It's definitely rude. The suspect was previously arrested and interviewed by the Secret Service. Travis Rinking, 29, the main suspect, was previously arrested and interviewed by both the FBI and the Secret Service after he stormed the White House lawn in 2017. What do you think about that? Do you think he's pro-Donald Trump?
Yes, because he's a white male.
Because he stormed the White House lawn last year. Police investigating Sunday morning shooting believe that Ranking had suffered from mental illness issues and have warned that they suspect he's still armed and thus extremely dangerous. A naked man matching Ranking's description was spotted in the woods near the restaurant in the aftermath of the shooting, in which the death toll could have been far higher were it not for the... he has been named. I got to find the guy who snatched the AR-15 out of him. So this one is a little bit older. I want to try to find... a newer one. Here's the guy right here being honored. So no, I didn't have this. I didn't have the
Waffle House. That's a really big deal. I know you didn't have it ready. I'm calling it out. Gary M. Every Waffle House should open a rifle range and call it Waffles and Bullets. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Hey, didn't they catch him? Says Scotty Good. Earlier today they had not. I think maybe they have.
Outside the White House last summer. Newssource Justin Finch is live outside the White House with more on why these charges were dismissed. Justin. Chris, good morning. Travis Ranking had his case here in D.C. dismissed back in November after staying out of legal trouble for 4 months and completing 32 hours of community service. This all goes back to last July. Here in D.C., he was escorted off of White House grounds. He was questioned and arrested for unlawful entry. The Secret Service detaining him in that case after he was blocking a White House security checkpoint and demanding to meet with President Trump. Now, in that case, Ranking was not armed, but with the FBI's urging, back in his home state, Illinois State Police seized his 4 weapons as well as revoked his weapons permit. We now know Ranking's father held on to those weapons and later gave them back to Ranking. We also now know from authorities an AR-15 used in those Nashville shootings was among those seized weapons, and at this point, Ranking is still at large out there. He's also considered armed and dangerous, now making Tennessee's top 10 most wanted list. We're live here in Northwest. I'm Justin Finch, News 4.
But
Back
I think that they did
studio.
catch him. This was at 6 o'clock, but I'm pretty sure, and they're saying in the chat that he was apprehended. I'm hoping. Somebody had said how they can't catch a naked man. Can't be that hard.
Let's get the hero up here.
There's a hero.
No, don't sing, please.
In the Waffle House shooting.
Sing. No, don't do it.
You don't have to be afraid.
Yeah, you should.
He was trying to reload.
Maybe be afraid of the
Not exactly sure, but I saw my opportunity in my window. So I took it, and I ran through the door as fast as I can, and just kind of jammed him up with the gun when it pointed down, and then we started kind of wrestling for it and scuffling and fighting for it. And after he let it go with one hand, and then when he just had it in his other hand, I just took it and I tossed it over the counter, and I pretty much removed him out of the restaurant with myself, and then he kind of walked off
Myself
by
was my
himself.
weapon.
So you pushed him out of the restaurant? Yes.
I mean, what were you thinking about?
The interviewer's shocked.
It wasn't really it really wasn't a process of thinking. It was more so of a now.
In the moment.
You have to do this now, or it's not going to be. If I let him load that weapon, it wasn't going to be another window. It wasn't going to be another chance. It was pretty much like shooting fish in a barrel, because literally it was pretty much like this, a brick wall behind us, and there was nowhere to go.
So that was from when you grabbed.
I grabbed close to the barrel of the gun. It's actually burnt in this.
So he just burned. He didn't get shot. I heard he got shot.
Because it just got,
correction.
It just gone off.
Yeah, it was just discharging. So it's burnt pretty much up here, and then it's actually wrapped here into here. So,
look, he's all nicely dressed and everything for that.
Think about what you just saw.
Think about it.
His hand is so severely burned because he grabbed the barrel of an assault rifle that had just gone off dozens of times. He didn't care.
Assault rifle. Can he just call it what it is? Because we haven't really, as a people, decided what assault rifle really means yet.
Any
He
gun
grabbed
that
that
can
gun
assault
and
someone
he pulled
can
it
be an
out of the
assault
hand of the man who was
gun,
firing it.
assault weapon,
He saw his chance,
and it is a
Jennifer, and
rifle.
said, "This is it. If I do not do this right now, all of these other people inside of the Waffle House are going to die." This is the gun that James, of course, grabbed. He grabbed the head of it there and managed to get it away from the gunman as all of this was still unfolding.
So if it happens to you, grab a towel first. That's, sometimes there are these things you want to think about. Okay?
I don't have words. This guy is
and
an
it's like a
absolute
push
hero.
door, swivel door.
James Shaw Jr. That's a solid
And
name.
he shot through that door, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure he grazed my arm. And it was at that time that I kind of made up my mind, because there's no way to lock that door, that if it was going to come down to it, he was going to have to work to kill me. So at the time that he was either reloading or the gun jammed or whatever happened, is when I ran through the swivel door. I hit him with the swivel door, and then the gun was kind of jammed up and it was pushed down, so we were scuffling, and I managed to get him with one hand on the gun, and then I grabbed it from him and I threw it over the countertop, and then after that I was trying to get out the door, and I think he was pretty much in the entranceway, so I just took him out with me out of the entrance and all the way outside.
Richard Head said that he drove his assault vehicle today, but he did not run anybody down. Jack Russell said that he used his assault vehicle to collect his shopping. So, yeah, I mean, that's... Some people can drive their
focused
assault
on the victims and their
vehicles responsibly.
families and our associates who were working that night, and others who were affected and knew the people who were working that night. And we're here to support them in any way we possibly can. I personally want to thank Mr. Shaw.
This guy's from the Waffle House.
You don't get to meet too many heroes in life, Mr. Shaw, but you are a hero. You're my hero. You saved people's lives, and I talked to some of those people you saved today, and they will think of you for the rest of their days, as will I, and we are forever in your debt, and grateful for the courage that you displayed taking care of your fellow man, and so I thank you. I also want to thank Mayor Briley, Chief Anderson, and the brave men and women of the Metro Police Department who are working tirelessly out there at that scene today and searching for this man, and we will do anything we can to help and support your efforts in that regard.
So if they caught him, it's pretty recent. I don't. Did they catch him?
From what I understand, they did.
Let's see.
So in the chat, Liberty Bell's wanting to know if we're going to cover California's AB 2943 bill that passed, making it illegal to use the Bible/resources to help with gender and homosexuality issues.
Wow. That is something that we are going to cover.
Probably not today. We'll probably keep it to just these two topics.
Yeah, this picture
today.
was going around. So yeah, he's caught. They got the dude. He actually has some clothes on. So there he goes.
And then there's that guy.
So here he is here.
He looks mentally deranged.
He looks like a heroin addict.
Kind of does a little bit.
And
He's got some scratches on him, though. I hope that's from his fight with the hero there, James Shaw Jr.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. So, 2 perpetrators caught in one day. I think that is good news. And I think it is important to find out his motivation as well. I want you guys to know that at Resistance Chicks, we are equally as interested in why this young man chose to go in on a rampage naked. Now, I will tell you something. For those of you that may not know, a lot of times when drugs and psychotic issues are involved, that's when you see naked people. I'm serious. You will see them in the middle of the street naked. They get naked. I don't know why. They just take off all their clothes. So I'm going to guess, and this is purely a guess, but I think it's an educated one, that he did have mental issues or substance abuse issues or both. In this case. And that happens. And then we can address that. We can talk about the border wall. We can talk about us funding the heroin in Afghanistan. We can talk about all the reasons why drugs are flooding in our country, creating people that are crazed.
Just FYI, this is not the guy. Alik Minia's son on Facebook, poor guy. He happens to have the same name. He says, not me, no connection. Please, NBC, ABC, CBS, stop harassing my friends and family.
At that point, I might just delete my Facebook because you can always bring it back up. You know what I mean? Delete your Facebook, not be on there.
Yeah, but I almost would want to keep it up to let people know this isn't me.
True.
I don't want to go dark because, All right, so we want to keep everybody, obviously, pray for the victims. There was one tweet that I saw that said, whoever pushed my mom out of the way or saved my mom's life, thank you.
Wow. And that was in the truck or van attack. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's incredible. People's lives were saved today as much as they were lost. And so I think that on the upside, it's good to focus on the positive, that there were people that didn't die today that were in that situation, whether it was the Waffle House yesterday or in Toronto today, and it's worth celebrating that and then mourning and praying for the lives that were lost and their families, because it's horrific. And I know I started out the episode really angry and upset, and I'm still angry and upset, but we always like to bring hope, and our mom encourages us to do that at the end of the show, to bring hope back to you guys. I believe that the tide is turning. Every single time one of these things happens, it puts a dent in their armor, in this facade that they would like to put up, that, you know what, everything's fine here. We're all okay. We can keep allowing the migrants to come in. We can keep allowing the religion that shall not be named and prop it up and whatnot. So there is that.
Premier, thank you very much.
We are on
first of all, on behalf of Prime Minister Trudeau and the Government of Canada, let me extend our deep and sincere condolences to all of those who have been affected by this horrible tragedy in Toronto this afternoon. The thoughts and prayers of all Canadians are with the people of Toronto tonight. To the families of those who have lost loved ones, and to those others who are suffering in hospital. Everyone is hoping for the very best recovery for those who have been injured, and certainly our deep condolences to those who have suffered the loss of a loved one. The condolences, in fact, extend beyond the country. As you may know, there is a G7 meeting of security ministers in Toronto at the present time. This incident happened right in the midst of that meeting, and all of the security ministers, the public safety ministers from the from the G7 countries, from the European Union, and from the representatives from Interpol wanted to extend their very sincere wishes to the people of Toronto for comfort and sympathy and empathy in this very difficult time. The second point I want to make is I've had the opportunity to consult with the senior officials of the security and police agencies of the Government of Canada, and on the basis of all available information at the present time, there would appear to be no national security connection to this particular incident. The events that happened on the street behind us are horrendous, but they do not appear to be connected in any way to national security based on the information available at this time. Finally, let me associate myself with the remarks of the Mayor and the Premier with respect to the first responders who have reacted to this situation today, demonstrating once again they are the best in the world, amazing people who deal with some of the most horrendous circumstances. And once again, from the police, the firefighter, paramedic, and emergency medical personnel, they have responded magnificently, and we express our deep appreciation to them. And I also want to reiterate the point that the collaboration among levels of government and all of the relevant agencies that are engaged here is absolutely seamless. The provincial, federal, and municipal authorities are cooperating and collaborating in a superb way, and will deal with this situation in a thoroughly professional manner. And now I believe the police chief.
If it's not a terror attack, which is possible.
Thank you, Minister, Premier, and Mayor. And I too echo the sentiments and say thank you to Toronto Fire Services and Toronto Paramedics for an outstanding job and working collaboratively with us to reach where we are. We do have a situation here right now where we are really aggressively looking for two pieces right now. One is to identify the victims, all of the victims, and the second is, as I stated earlier, there are a tremendous amount of people that saw some of the events that took place. I appreciate that it was almost a kilometer strip, so you will have a piece of the puzzle, but it's important not to dismiss that. We need every single piece of this puzzle that we can, so that we can have a fulsome picture and account as to exactly what took place here, so that we have a proper opportunity to bring this to a resolution in the courts. Having said that, is there any questions?
Are being taken as a terror attack?
Hang on a second.
Mr. Trudeau said that this is not something that is connected to national security. What does that mean? What do we know about what the motive may have been, or how have you been able to discount that? And does that mean we're not calling this an act of terror? Is that what we're trying to get away from?
No, I don't. If you listen to what the minister said, he did not dismiss it. He said at this point, with respect to what we have right now. And so you can appreciate that this is very early in the investigation. There's no avenue that we won't explore, but right now, based on what we have and what we're looking at doing right now, because it is a multi-agency approach, we open all the lanes at the start, and then we follow where the evidence takes us. So at this particular point in time, working collaboratively, not just on a local, but also a provincial and federal level, we are all collaborating, and we're all putting our pieces together to see exactly what we have. And at this particular point in time, there's nothing that does affect the national security footprint. We are looking very strongly to what the exact motive or motivation was for this particular incident to take place. And at the end of the day, we will have a fulsome answer, and we'll have a fulsome account as to what the conclusion of this is.
Is this a terror attack, Chief Saunders? Chief Saunders, is this a terror attack?
Or was this a mistake?
Well, based on witness accounts, we have a vehicle that started north on Yonge Street from Finch and drove southbound at some point in times on sidewalks, at some point in times driving southbound and northbound lanes. So it's very clear, just from a general perspective, to say that the actions definitely look deliberate.
Was the suspect known to you? Was Alec known to you?
There is nothing on our files. We've looked right across, and there's nothing that we have on him right now.
Can you explain to us?
No watch listed on, no watch. Sorry?
Have you ruled out terrorism?
We don't rule out anything. What we have to do is we have to follow what we have. And because it's very early in the investigation right now, you have to appreciate that there have to be forensic investigations, digital and otherwise. There has to be witnesses, not just people that witnessed what occurred, but witnesses that may have information based on the person that we're alleging has done this right now. And as we expand the investigation and as we explore further through those accounts and through those witness evidence that we gathered, we'll have a better, broader picture of what we have, and then we can be more definitive. But right now, please appreciate, it is early. We're not excluding anything. It's our process, though, to follow what we have. And so the statement is accurate at this point in time. Based on what we have, there's nothing that does put it to compromise the national security footprint. Not excluded, but right now that's where we are.
Chief Saunders, can you walk us through? Can you explain to us how he was arrested without incident after this incident? After everything that had happened, he said he had a gun. How was he arrested without incident and not shot?
Well, I can tell you, it's directly related to the high caliber training that takes place. The officers here are taught to use as little force as possible in any given situation, and I believe that this was captured on video. I just came in from New York City, so I'm still getting briefed as we go on, and I have to come back to give more definitives on looking at this particular footprint that we have occupied and how we can reduce it and have more timelines and also more phone numbers for people to give out so that we can do this right. But through the training, the officer did a fantastic job with respect to utilizing his ability of understanding the circumstance, the environment, and having a peaceful resolution at the end of the day. So I do applaud the men and women involved in this particular investigation
whatsoever.
And for the scenario and how it played out.
He used his training. That's how.
There's nothing that indicates he has a gun. No.
For anybody else?
We'll know later on
So
as we investigate.
So that guy was not a white person attacking a predominantly minority population in northern Toronto.
I have nothing that tells me that specifically right now.
Are you guys confirming the name of the suspect?
What kind of question is that?
I did.
Was it a white person targeting a predominantly minority population?
I said Alex.
Okay. Could be. It's all right.
Can you spell those just to be clear?
Alex. Minassasian, age 25.
So is this a terror attack, Chief? Is this a terror attack?
I've answered it a few times. We're exploring all avenues at this point in time. Well, that's part of the investigation as well. We need to identify whether or not there are more people, if he's working in concert with anyone, or if this is just a lone act on his own doing.
Is the suspect talking to you? Is the suspect in discussion?
It's early in the investigation. I don't know from an investigative perspective what's happening yet. And we're still investigating right now, and once charges are laid, we'll definitely let you know.
Chief, the Armenian genocide commemoration is tomorrow. Is there any suggestion at all that may have set him off? We understand he's Armenian. Is there anything that there may be a motive there?
I can tell you on the go forward, I have a lot of resources that are doing the investigative work with respect to intelligence. We're working collaboratively with our federal counterparts, with our provincial counterparts. We're doing threat assessments right across the city to make sure that the public is reassured that they are safe. This is something that we do take serious, anything that involves loss of life, and it's our responsibility to make sure that people understand that as a police agency and as law enforcement, collaboration is the most important component for success, and we're working very strongly together to make sure that whatever security footprints we do go out with on the go forward, they are the right ones, and I feel confident that that will take place.
That is the Chief of Police in Toronto updating us on the situation there after a man in a van mounted the pavement, killed 10 people, injured another 15. Key points to take away from that press conference. They've named the suspect a male, 25-year-old Alex Minassian from Richmond Hill, not from Toronto. As I said, there are 10 dead, 15 people in various hospitals across the country. The Canadian Public Safety Minister saying that at this time, there is no national security connection based on the available information. The Chief of Police going on to say that the actions of that individual looked intentional, but they have nothing on their files on this man. He said it's very clear actions, definitely looked deliberate, and they're working to identify if he was acting alone. We'll bring you all the latest from Toronto after the break. Stay with Sky News.
All right, so I have a couple of things that I need to bring to you guys here. because if he was Armenian, and we don't know that he was 100%, but if he was, these are going to be a couple of relevant things here. So let's go first to the fact that the Armenian president resigned today amidst protests. And I know this is the New York Times, but it's the best that I have right now, guys. All right, so 10 days of demonstrations that escalated throughout Armenia forced the resignation Monday of the man who has led the country for the past decade, creating the latest crisis in a post-Soviet state, trying to overcome a legacy of weak democratic rule. The unexpected resignation prompted scenes of jubilation in the capital, Yerevan, and other cities. Tens of thousands of people flocked to the central public square in Yerevan, where all afternoon and into the night they danced, cheered, and waved the Armenian flag, a striped color red, blue, and orange. I don't even know how to say that.
It goes on to say he feels like he was wrong. The street movement against my tenure. He's fulfilling your demand. We don't know much about him or what started this whole resignation.
But it is very interesting if this assailant is Armenian. Now, tomorrow is the Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. It says it's a national holiday in Armenia and the Republic of Artsakh, and is observed by the Armenian diaspora on the 24th of April. It is held annually to commemorate the victims of the American genocide of 1915.
Armenian.
Did I say American?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Leah's like, Armenian. In Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, hundreds of thousands of people walk to the, oh my gosh, Tzitsernakherberd Genocide Memorial to lay flowers at the Eternal Flame. It commemorates the deportation of the Armenian intellectuals in 1915 from Constantinople.
This was a massacre. This was a huge massacre. People died. So it's very interesting that tomorrow will be the Remembrance Day. Is this an Armenian Christian angry at Canadians? I don't know. I don't know. We will have you. We will have some answers hopefully soon. We still don't have Stephen Paddock's motive.
Nope.
I do have several sources who keep saying that it is ISIS related. ISIS took responsibility for it twice, right, and they never do this unless they have a real. This particular ISIS group has a track record of only claiming.
Well, don't the Saudi Arabian princes own certain levels of
the Mandalay Bay?
The Mandalay Bay, things like that. All right, you guys. So this is all that we have for you on these two subjects
today. Sorry we don't have more motives. They don't like to get it out. No national security risk at that time to Canada. So you're safe. Go to sleep. You're fine.
So I want to thank our moderators, Maia, Gary, I think Kelly was here, Donna, Terry, Worth a Look definitely was here. So thank you guys for being here. Thank our moderators. Chris Holman did a live stream earlier, and he's, from what I understand from the chat, he's going to do a live stream in a little bit covering what is happening with John Kasich here in Ohio, signing in this.
Oh, sure.
What is it called? The red level something or other, where pretty much if
more
you
definitive
question
as we move down,
somebody that
and
has
then we'll
guns,
have
you can
more
report them, and their guns can be taken away. He's going to cover a couple of other things like that. So go to his channel, watch that live here in a little bit. Briefly, Revelation Dawn of Global Government is doing their thing again, where you can watch that. If you missed it last time, you can watch it for free. I'm going to link to that in the description. I probably won't get to it until a little bit later tonight when I can come back and upload these videos and stuff like that. You can find out a lot of information and all of our videos on our website, resistancechicks.com. Simple, straightforward. You can go in there and sign up and register so I can get an email list together so that I can send you guys emails. So I want you guys to be doing that. We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150, where you can send us your letters and we will read them on air. Your questions, your concerns, your ideas. We want to hear about it from you guys.
So, God, we just lift up the people in Toronto right now, and we pray that you would comfort the families of the victims, be with the victims who are still alive and struggling in the hospitals. This is a horrible, horrible thing to have happened. Innocent people enjoying your sun, and it was just a beautiful sunny day in Canada. And I pray that you do bring healing to Canada and bring healing to Toronto, and that you surround them with your presence, and that you just comfort those who are deeply hurting today. In Jesus' name we pray. I guess it's updated. 10 dead. And so one died in the hospital.
What can we explore? And then once we don't have the evidence that supports that, then we move on to the next and so on, so that we have a more definitive conclusion at the end. One more question?
So you haven't closed it.
One more question, sorry.
There were some pretty horrific scenes here by all accounts. I mean, what sort of impact has that had on your officers and other?
Well, we do a lot of multi-agency training. We've got one event coming up in the very near future, and I think this is a testament, working with fire, working with paramedics, working with private public sector, and working from a national and provincial and local level. And as we work with these agencies collectively, we have really good conclusions. And so today's a testament of that, the fact that we do work in concert with one another, and we do harmonize, and then we have much more successful outcomes at the end of the day. I won't say that this is a success story, and I don't want to diminish the fact that we've lost 10 people, and I'm not sure what the final is going to be, and I'm concerned about this, and I hope that you do your part by please helping by providing those phone numbers. We'll be pushing it out there as well to on print so that you have an understanding. Thank you very much.
Well, they only said a couple more questions.
That's it.
In our Facebook Live chat, Daniel had said, going back to the Waffle House shooting, where are the videos from the restaurant? There are so many people with cell phones, not a single video. And I understand what you're getting at, and that is a very, very good question. That being said, I believe the testimony of James Shaw Jr. He looks like a real dude that really wrestled this guy. So I believe for sure that the Waffle House shooting did happen. Unfortunately, I know he was using an AR-15. Whether you want to tinfoil hat your MK Ultra, whatever, you can go that route. But it definitely happened. People totally died. That came from Michael Constantine and decided.
All right, you guys, we will see you. We don't know when. Maybe we'll have some updates for you tomorrow.
Or Wednesday. We always go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday at 1
for UK Euro News.
We love you. God loves you. God bless.
And God be with the Canadians and Torontonians. The people of Toronto.
Amen.
I was caught